You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Robert, the levels, you know me, I've done officially, I think it's 3 Kickstarters on my page, on my Kickstarter page that I've ever completed. It was Tacticus.
Okay, yeah.
It was Christian car. It was like a Cars for Humanity for Christians.
Yep.
And then that's it. I've done 3. And I really am not looking forward to doing more.
Yeah.
But
I've only done 1.
wow.
Just Frosthaven.
No, Wayne says he's got 45 projects and counting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, we can, there's plenty out there that'll put us to shame. We were just looking earlier, Dan Erdzik said he's up to 666 he posted?
666.
666 as far as his...
666 for Dan Erdzik out of Zephyr Hills, Your Turn.
Yeah, he's
the game shop
of
project
Kickstarters that he's either backed or he's got backed currently. So, that's just crazy. That's we're looking at 1 or 2 or 3, and he's at 666. Although he does own a game shop, so I mean, it is a game cafe.
I mean, he can expense it as like business expense.
Yeah,
I mean,
business write-off. Yep.
I don't got it like that. You got it like that?
No,
I don't got it like that.
Yeah. But one day maybe we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
But I don't know. When I look at these Kickstarters, I think about and I did not pull the trigger for Marvel X-Men United.
Okay,
Marvel United X-Men.
You were just saying that you were going to.
I was going to.
Yeah, you were going to.
Like early on, I was like, yeah, I'm in on this. But then I kept seeing all the stuff that kept coming out for it, right? It kept adding more and more stuff and more options. And I kept saying to myself,
you don't want more and more.
No, not all up front like that. I don't want to be front loaded with that much content. Okay. I mean, if you look at the table behind me, maybe you folks on camera can barely see it. It's just covered in tanks, blister packs of tanks for a little game called World of Tanks, by Gale Force 9, because they come in waves, right? I bought the starter set, and then Wave 1 came out, so I bought all 6 tanks that comes with that, right? And then Wave 2 came out, I bought 6 more tanks, and then, I got dice to go, but it's all incremental, right? I'm not front loaded with all of that purchase, all of that content. So I don't know. It just, the idea of having so much content coming in at one time, knowing that I won't get to any of it, it hits me in a deep place of inferiority, of inability.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
To touch it, to play it, to get it to the table. Right, then you get that regret feeling of wasted money. Right, I can do that on a drip, right, where I'm like, okay, I get some expansions here and there as they come, and some of them get to the table, and some of them don't. But when you get it all front loaded on you, it looks like it's just a bunch of boxes to check, tasks to complete. That I know I won't, and I don't want to feel like a failure.
But you got it all. You got it. It's there.
So I didn't even put in for it. I'm just gonna wait until the Walmart edition shows up, and I'll buy that. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that.
The skinny edition.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So that's how I'm feeling right now when it comes to Kickstarter stuff.
No FOMO for you. You're not on that fear of missing out, huh?
No, I think if I make myself miss out, I can't ever fear missing out. Okay. Because I already know I'm missing out.
One way to look at it, I guess. Prepare yourself for the worst.
I will fail on my own, sir.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of doing it.
Beans and Dice podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Wayne from Tampa. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Wayne.
Hello, Wayne. Good evening. What's going on?
Nothing, Ned. I heard you made a comment. I kind of agree with that. I think the Kickstarter comment about, going all in on these massive projects. I think the only major large scale thing I ever backed was Sentinels of the Multiverse back in the day, a couple of years ago now. And I have this giant box of Sentinels of Multiverse cards just sitting in my game room unplayed since it showed up. And it's just because I got everything. And it's like, how are you, so the 45 projects I back, most of them are individual games or one game and an expansion. I shy away from like those giant things.
Oh, it's in here. Robert's looking around.
I'm looking around for it. It's here on his shelf somewhere. I'm trying to find it, but I can't locate it.
But Wayne, was it a punch in the gut for you to see a new edition of that game coming out now on Kickstarter? Like, how does that feel?
I would never buy. I almost would never buy from that company again because not only was the last Kickstarter was good, but it was delayed. They way over sort of sold this big box, and there was a lot of issues with it. And then even when we got it, they had to replace a couple of decks because they were stuck together. And this was supposed to be the be all end all of Sentinels. And then less than a couple of years later, they're putting another edition out. So it's like, I guess there's new people into the gaming industry, and that's good for them. And then there's the diehard Sentinels people that'll buy it. But then there's people like I used to play the game, and then by the time that big box came, I had moved on. And that's some of the problems with Kickstarter. I kind of pick which ones I back because I'm not backing big projects like that. They're going to take a year or two to get out. I look for stuff that's maybe 6 to 10 months, and just a single game that I know I'm going to play a couple times and get my money's worth out of it. Yeah, I try to shy away from those giant Kickstarters because they just sit there unplayed with all the other games I got going on. So,
and I just don't feel good. I just don't.
Yeah. It's kind of a unique way to look at it. It's kind of heard Carlos say that earlier today, and I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say before that I'm going to stay away from Kickstarter just because I don't want everything. I just want a little bit of something. So that's a unique twist, yeah?
I mean, I think if you're the kind of person that you're playing one game, like if you're playing Frosthaven and Gloomhaven, you're going to do that every night and really crank through it. That's great. And I get too bouncy, I guess, with the games I play. I've actually slowed down a lot. Probably I back less during the pandemic than I did prior to it. Just because I'm like, I want these games to come in, and it's not like I've been gaming that much the last year anyway. But I did just back Canvas. Mostly because I think it's a game it's a lighter game that I can get people to play, and I like the idea of being able to hang the boxes on the wall for art.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, a lot of people have said that. That's a pretty game. I actually haven't played it yet. I know in our game group, Nick Oben has a copy of it, and I play Gloomhaven with him over at his place. And every time I go over there, he's got Canvas sitting kind of off to the side, and we keep mentioning that sometime after a scenario of Gloomhaven that we're going to jump over to Canvas, but then after we're done with a 3-hour scenario of Gloomhaven, usually it's about midnight and we're ready to go home. But one of these days we're gonna break that one out. I keep hearing good things about Canvas.
And I feel that's a little bit different because Canvas is an established game. What you're doing is getting into it. Right? That's the purchase mechanism for it. It's to buy it on Kickstarter. You're just jumping into a game. You're not throwing yourself into a new project or a new idea. You're buying an established, what I think is a great game.
Yeah, and that's probably I think that's probably what I've done in the last year or so. Is Campaign Trail is another one I backed, and Endangered, the expansion to Endangered, because I had played Endangered and I wanted the expansion. So I remember playing Campaign Trail and I wanted my own copy, and get the nicer bits. So I've used that a little bit in the last year, and then most of the Tiny Epic stuff, gets backed because got to have them all, I guess.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.